In high school, I loved to volunteer. It didn't matter if I was on my own, with friends, or family. Volunteering was something that I genuinely enjoyed doing. When I got to college, I asked my roommate if she wanted to go volunteer with me one weekend. Instead of saying yes, she asked why we would do that with our time. This shocked me. Until that moment, I thought most people volunteered, or at least wanted to. I didn't realize that volunteering wasn't as common as I thought it was. But communities rely on volunteers, from food banks to animal shelters to organizations in the general community. They depend on people who are willing to give their time. Without volunteers, many of these organizations wouldn't be able to provide the services that people rely on. Today, I'd like to persuade you why volunteering is worth your time. I'll begin by discussing why communities need more volunteers, then explain why volunteering is a practical solution, and finally I'll share some of the ways that volunteering benefits both the community and the volunteer. Starting off, Meals on Wheels America explains that in the last 40 years, volunteering rates have stayed between 20 and 30%. While this doesn't seem concerning, there is a concern that starting in the 2010s, volunteerism started to have a decline in this percentage. That's a problem, especially when so many organizations and nonprofits rely on volunteers to give their time. Habitat for Humanity explains in one of their blogs the importance of volunteering. This importance is really needed when providing services to the community. Without the volunteers, these nonprofits and organizations wouldn't have the resources, the help, the time, and the ability to provide what they're promising people, or what their passion or mission is. Habitat for Humanity specifically gives the example of how if they didn't have volunteers to help build houses, or the volunteers giving resources to build these houses, the houses wouldn't get built. And then there's an unmet need in society where there shouldn't be, where someone is already trying to improve, and because there's not help, they can't make that improvement. From there, I want to explain why volunteering is the practical solution to this problem. Although it seems obvious, since the problem is we need volunteers and we depend and rely on volunteers, a lot of people don't think volunteering is the practical solution. AmeriCorps.com explains that volunteering is actually a very accessible and practical solution to a lot of these problems. It doesn't matter if you feel like you only have time to volunteer once a year, or maybe your schedule allows for you to go multiple times a month. There are opportunities and resources available to make your time and your willingness feel practical and be useful to these nonprofits and organizations. In my research, I found lots of different websites, but one that stuck out to me was idealist.org. It's a website that matches you with volunteering gigs and resources to help you get into your community. It takes your location, preferences, interests into account to help you find volunteer gigs in your area that would be practical and that would be accessible for everybody, or for you specifically to look into. So why volunteer? What's the benefits? Volunteering benefits both the community and the volunteer. First, looking at the community, there's a big benefit from volunteering, especially because volunteers are specifically giving back to the community in some way or shape. So, freepackers.com explains that giving back, volunteering provides unmet need, which is the first really big part of volunteering. That's why a lot of people go into volunteering, is because you want to provide something that's unmet, and that's the reason we have volunteers. Then it explains that it creates a culture of service. Where I come from, volunteering was a very big part of our community in general. In my high school, it was a big thing. In my friend group, it was a massive thing. And it was such a massive thing because we had created this culture of service. We had already been volunteering, so it felt like a natural thing within our community, which it didn't feel like when I left for college, because there wasn't that culture of service that had been built up because people had been volunteering. From there, the last thing that I want to mention, and I found was really important from this website, was that service empowers people. It empowers and uplifts communities by providing this unmet need. It really creates a positive community, and it brings up the emotions and the happy vibes within a community. Next, I want to describe and explain some of the benefits that go to the volunteer. So WCSU.edu gives a few of these reasons. One of those is community engagement. That means really what I took away from it was meeting new people and becoming engaged in your community. You'll meet all types of people when you volunteer, from high schoolers to retired people who want to spend their time giving back. I loved volunteering because you got to meet such a wide variety of people you worked with and people that were coming to whatever you were volunteering at. From that, you also learn new skills. There's so many different types of volunteering gigs out there, and learning and getting to experience all of those gives you a wide variety of skills, from talking to people you normally wouldn't to learning how to organize a closet of supplies you've never seen before. Volunteering allows you to learn these things that wouldn't normally arrive in your day-to-day life or in your normal career. Finally, volunteering improves mental and physical health. First of all, you're constantly moving in a lot of these volunteering positions where you're getting in exercise by walking back and forth or lifting stuff, and that's really good for your body to keep active throughout your entire life. Especially if you're on the older side and you're volunteering, this is a great way to get both in the exercise and the community service. It also improves your mental health. I know whenever I went and volunteered, I felt so uplifted and genuinely happy after volunteering, seeing that I was providing some type of help to either my community or the people who were in charge of these organizations and nonprofits who relied on this help, and it felt good to know that I was providing it in some way, sense, and form. So, with all that said, and now knowing that volunteering is a need in communities and that volunteering is a practical solution to providing that unmet need, along with the benefits, I want to challenge you or give you a little incentive to at least look into finding one volunteering gig. Go online and research based off of your location and your preferences and interests, finding at least one type of volunteering gig that would be reasonable for you to maybe think about going out and trying. And if you really want to make a change and change your mindset and change the world a little bit, go out and do that volunteering gig. It just has to be one time to try it out, and maybe eventually that habit will stick on and you'll learn to love volunteering as much as I did.